This is the Moon Tower Podcast with your host, Ian Hubbard. Alrighty, folks, we are here with episode 5 of the Moon Tower Podcast. Your host, Ian Hubbard, is here with you. My technical advisor, Nate Fitch, is to my right, and he is live, large, and in charge. Say hello, Nate.
Feeble mortals bow down before the might that is the Moon Tower Podcast.
Oh,
Oh,
give it that James Hetfield.
oh,
Yeah. Now, folks, we got a pretty decent episode coming up for you. We'd like to go over some of the things that we touched upon in episode 4, including our experience, mainly my experience with the meat and seafood industry, if you recall. We also have some personal happenings in our lives. Nate, I hope you got some good stories to tell us from your last week.
always.
I sure do. And we'd like to touch upon some things that are happening in the city of Toledo. The good old Glass City offers us nothing short of a good time for any of those who are looking for it. And we have our usual ads and sponsorships. We have our weekly update on the HUAC Fighting Angry Goats and their tough fight against the Golden Acre Tumbleweeds. Nate, it was a hell of a match, and we would like to bring you the results of that. Do you have anything for that right now? Just as an introduction for the fans?
All I can say is I'm shivering my jimmies for the results at this moment.
Even you don't know.
Oh, I don't. I'm totally
do.
unawares.
Well, I do, and I'm happy to bring it to you.
Oh, buddy.
We also have a few shout-outs to give as far as the local scene. And, yeah, we can't wait to bring that to you. Episode 5 coming right at you. Before we begin the breadth of our episode, we would like to give a great and happy shout-out to Mr. and Mrs. Sam and Sarah Jo Turner. They were happily married July 14th of 2018. Their beautiful wedding ceremony was held at the historic Church of St. Patrick, and the reception venue was the Staples in White House, Ohio at Wheeler Farms. Dinner and catering was provided by The Pinnacle. Their menu was based on places that they have lived, so they had a Midwest station, a Tex-Mex station, a Colorado station, and their wedding favor was Garrett Popcorn from Chicago. The decor was selected and designed by the bride with the groom's assistants. Their seating chart was old wooden doors with glass frames on one side and guest names. On the other side was their parents' and grandparents' wedding photos. The guest book was a book of postcards where the guests could write their well wishes and attach a Polaroid photo since they like to travel. The wedding cake was created from Wixie Bakery and cupcakes from 7 Little Cupcakes. The flowers of the wedding were from Beautiful Blooms by Jen. The wedding day coordinator was B for the D. Video was Fordham footage. Music and entertainment, decorative sound. The gown was Palazzo Bridal. Makeup artist Beauty by Billy Joe, and hair was from the French Twist Salon. The bride's first impression of her groom was that, and I quote, "Sam was such a great public speaker and a super cute guy. We became the best of friends first, and everyone knew we liked each other before we even did." And according to the groom, seeing his bride walk down the aisle was the most beautiful, memorable moment of my life. I will never be able to describe the flood of emotions that hit me when seeing her in her dress walking down the aisle. Absolutely heartwarming. And once again, Mr. and Mrs. Sam and Sarah Jo Turner, congratulations on your wedding, and we wish you, from the Moon Tower Podcast, many happy years together. Amongst other things happening around the city of Toledo, on Wednesday, October 24th, the Toledo Name and Gender Change Legal Clinic offers you an opportunity to update your identity documents and to come to the seminar where trained attorneys will provide one-on-one counseling on the process. It runs from 6 to 8 p.m. at Equitas Health, 3450 West Central Avenue, Suite 104. Phone number 614-340-6729. To register, email legalclinic@equitashealth.com, and admission is free. Another little bit of local advertising is that every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m., Joseph's Beverage Center, one of our great sponsors, even though they don't even know it, offers craft beer tastings from 1 to 3 p.m. Nate, do you have anything to add to this? Because I know you're a big fanatic of the craft beer.
Well, all I can say is if you like to drink beer, you should probably go to at least one of these tastings in your lifetime, because they have a great selection, let me tell you.
What kind? What's your favorite?
I am a big fan of the sour varieties. I believe Action Bronson, you know, the rapper, big old guy, has 7,000 out by, what is that, Stillwater Artisanal. And that's probably one of my favorites right now that I've been rocking on and off last month or so.
I will say, though, Nate, you've turned me on to a lot of good stuff. I usually there's an apprehension towards that whole, like, oh, craft beer, because there's that whole, like, you know, thumb up, you know, pinky finger kind of posh.
There's definitely a snobbery about it in some cases, but
which is unfortunate, because a lot of the stuff's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Some of the stuff. If from your host perspective, if I'm gonna go with one, it's gonna be Lagunitas. That's my favorite out of California. They haven't done me wrong. The Sentimental, the what was it? Brown sugar.
Brown sugar.
Little something else. Excuse me. It's usually good stuff. So if you need any recommendations, that would be mine. Ours.
Oh yes, Lagunitas is very tasty.
Very good. No, that reminds me. That's something that we would like to bring up here in future episodes. Is like local business. One of which is, well, with Toledo being one of the highest consumption cities of alcohol in the state.
Oh, you better believe it.
Something like that. Yeah, we got nothing better around here. Just get fucking away, you know. there's kind of like a big like craft brew or whatever you want to call it. Like there's Maumee Bay, which is right down by the high level bridge. Maumee Bay. Well, my guy Christopher Clark, giving a shout out and a name drop. He works for him, and he's been doing the whole like craft brew and brewing his own shit and whatnot for a while, and he's always posting about it on Facebook. And if he's got Twitter, I don't know if he's got Twitter, but I always see it on Facebook about like new brews that he's coming out with. Now, like I said, like there's that whole like posh kind of like you know, like pinky up kind of thing where it has this what do you call it? Fucking
beer snobbery.
Yeah, you get the snobbery against it. But, you know, they're hardworking, honest people. Like, they do what they love, and I can't really hate on it for that. But, like, hopefully we can get them on here and, you know, maybe get some free samples. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Nate?
I, for one, am a big fan of their algae bloom. So
I haven't had that yet.
Oh, it's good. It's like green as hell, just like you'd expect.
Yeah, no, I know that. Well, actually, and I think he can go on further about this, where it's actually raised a little bit of headway in the national news, where they do that to promote awareness about what's been happening with the algae blooms in Lake Erie.
Oh yeah,
like they started as a goof, and now it's kind of caught on.
Oh yeah, the last couple of years, like I remember, 2 years ago, that stuff was like almost epidemic level.
No, it was. 2014 was when everyone freaked the fuck out about it and went fucking ape shit.
Yeah, I was working at Longhorn when that was going on, and we couldn't use any of the tap water. We had to get bottled water in, source in, and we were like, boiling the shit of our water that we were using besides that, just to get everything out of it. So
Well,
It was definitely a thing.
well, no, it was the whole, well, especially 2014 when it really came to a head. Like, we weren't able to take hot showers. If you had an open wound, you couldn't take a shower at all, or else it would seep through, for instance. And they created this beer out of it as a goof, like I said, and it kind of took off. Like, it's just, obviously it's seasonal, which is not ironic, but it's funny.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny.
No, it should be seasonal just for that fact.
No, it literally is. It's was it summer
Yeah,
beer. Once again, he would be able to expound upon this a lot more, but no, I want to get him on and like get his take on that, and hopefully that's another future episode of like local business that we would like to do here on the Moon Tower podcast. There's a lot of local business going around amongst friends and whatnot that we would like to just give you some awareness of and see what happens. So if that ends up being one of them, I mean, I hope we'd be able to get some. I'm not going to be opposed to it. So free beer samples.
Hey, beer's beer at the end of the day.
And see what happens.
Put it in front of me, I drink it.
So, like I said, we'll see what happens. So, yeah, there's a lot of good things happening around the city with us. And as far as us goes, Nate, anything big or exciting happening in your life?
Nothing in particular. Heights is about to get a new menu here in the next month and a half or so. We're going to be doing some big changes upstairs. So,
Like what? What you got in store? If anyone wants to visit the restaurant, it is very tip-top, I must say. Service is good, food is good, everything is on point.
Oh, yeah. Mostly we're going to be doing, some changes to make it more, less tapas style and more, traditional, restaurant, I guess you could say.
Well, anything you'd like to give us an insight on? As far as, menu items?
I do know that we're going to be offering, house-made chips and crab legs in the near future, so be looking forward to that.
Do you know where the crab legs are sourced from?
Not off the top of my head. I just
Are they at least wild caught to go in line with what we've been talking about?
I'll have to ask my chef Aaron. Chef Aaron Lawson. He does both Brimhouse and Heights at the Renaissance Hotel as as a lead head chef. So, really good cook. I learned a lot from that guy. So I imagine he sourced it from a good place. He has a background in good Southern cooking, so I trust his judgment in that regard.
That sounds awesome, Nate. I'm very excited to hear what you have in store for us. On my end, next Thursday, I begin the first of an 8-week class of comedy improv. Apparently, I found out about this last month or a month and a half or so ago. There is a comedy improv class that takes place in Toledo, in the Glass City. It's called the Glass City Improv, once again. I found out about this through the city paper. 8 weeks, $150. The class I'm going into is an introduction into the art of improv, and I just basically just signed up for it and did it. It's every Thursday. I just did it as a whim, so we'll see what happens.
Right on.
Carrying on, and I do expect to learn a lot from it, and we'll see what happens.
Good to know. I do believe you will do well at that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know nothing going into it. I know that these people are apparently professionals. They know what they're doing. So we'll see what happens. I have my arms up in the air to signify the whole we'll see what happens.
Huzzah!
Exactly, huzzah. And without further ado, folks, we'd like to give you an update on the HUAC Fighting Angry Goats and their match against the Golden Acre Tumbleweeds. Now, it was a tough-fought battle, but 4-0. 4-0, Nate.
Oh, yeah.
HUAC managed to pull it out with a 20-16 victory. Goat quarterback Jimmy Doppelganger struggled through the entire game, throwing 2 interceptions in the first half. Goat quarterback Jimmy Doppelganger was able to Things started off to a bad start for the Goats as quarterback Jimmy Doppelganger threw 2 crucial interceptions in the first half, leading to 2 tumbleweed field goals. Fortunately, Doppelganger was able to lead the Goats to a late second quarter drive, which led to a touchdown, giving the Goats a 7-6 halftime lead. After the second half kickoff was nearly fumbled by the Tumbleweeds, quarterback Billy Babcock led them on an 84-yard drive, leading to a touchdown, giving the Tumbleweeds a 13-7 position. Fortunately for the Goats, they were able to score 13 points in the third quarter, with 1 touchdown coming off a Dick Jones interception return for a touchdown. The Tumbleweeds were able to muster 1 field goal in the fourth quarter, bringing the score to 20-16. The fourth quarter proved to be a battle of wits, with neither offense gaining any ground whatsoever, the score ending in a 20-16 Goats victory. But the 1 interception for a touchdown return by Dick Jones proved to be the deciding factor in the game. Once again, the Goat defense was the deciding factor of the game, as quarterback Jimmy Doppelganger did not help matters for the Goat offense, throwing 2 crucial interceptions in the first half, once while driving deep inside Tumbleweed territory, and the second coming inside the 20-yard line as he was being chased from the pocket. Doppelganger did end the game throwing 17 of 30 for 202 yards and those 2 crucial interceptions. Running back, who the hell is that, scored the lone Goat touchdown in the game, finishing with a paltry 77 yards and 21 carries. Overall in the game, safety John Diss led the Goat defense with 9 tackles, but had to leave the game with what is now being declared an infection after being bitten by one of the water boys during a commercial timeout. The water boy was then escorted off the field and then put down beneath the bleachers. For the Tumbleweeds, quarterback Billy Babcock did keep his composure even after that crucial interception for a touchdown by linebacker Dick Jones, completing 18 of his 22 passes for 164 yards and the lone Tumbleweed touchdown. It's damn near a miracle the Goats pulled this off, as the Tumbleweed rushing offense amassed over 200 yards on 42 rushes and controlled the clock once again for nearly 2/3 of the game. It really was a sloppy matchup. It was a contest of mishaps where the Goat defense was able to come up big with, once again, the interception for a touchdown by linebacker Dick Jones. The Tumbleweed defense was able to come up with those 2 crucial interceptions, but the Goat defense against the Tumbleweed offense was able to hold. Nate, any takes away from this?
I'm just glad the Goats came through in this match.
It was pretty sloppy. Like their offense was not able. The Tumbleweed defense was able to control the line of scrimmage. They had the upper hand as far as the turnovers, but they were not able to capitalize, even with Billy Babcock throwing as high a percentage as he did.
Well, Tumbleweeds, they played a good game. Best game they've played in a while, I feel, since Tumbleweeds have been, not been winning too much lately.
Well, they've been winless since last year, and last year was a winless season.
Yeah, well, what you're going to do, though? I mean, Goats, they've been fighting just like their namesake. So, one could say they are putting it in the only way they know how.
Fortunately for this week, we were able to catch up with Coach Brett Stinkfister after the game to get his take on his team's performance. Coach, tough win out there Defense came up. Offense looked a real sluggish. Any takes away from this match? Well, offense didn't look too good. Had those couple interceptions there and didn't really run the ball too well. Pretty glad the defense came up and played good defense. Once again we're able to tackle well and get that big interception. Dick Jones, he's a big guy, plays well. That's why we keep him on. He's a big asset. That's why he's Dick Jones. Well, yeah. Well, once again, Dick Jones, linebacker, came up big time. He is really the star of the defense. He is man amongst boys. What can we say? Oh, yeah, he came up big. I don't really know what else to tell you. I mean, he pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Well, Coach, I do have that tendency. Now, you have the second of the 3-game road streak coming up. And the Shipshewana Flapjacks, the team you're playing against, they have a powerful defense led by Bob Newhart, who has 75 tackles through the first 4 games of this year. Yeah, 75 tackles. He's a hell of a player. Offense, we just got to step it up. And hopefully we can block good and run the ball good and pass the ball good and catch the ball good and hopefully play offense good. And we'll have to see if we can do things good. Well, Coach, you're definitely right on there. Offense definitely has to play good and play. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we gotta play good. That's all we gotta do. That's all we gotta do is play good. We gotta play like we know what we think we might be doing out there. This isn't rocket science. We're not building rocket ships. We can't go to Mars or Uranus or Myanus. We can't go to space on fractions, and that's how we play today. We got to come together as a cohesive unit, like a big rocket ship. Wow, that. Thanks for interrupting me, Coach. But I was just gonna get that. You got to play as a team. And yeah, we got to play as a team. That's all we got to do. Just play as a team. Wow. Anything else you like to add? Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Yeah, just gotta play good. God bless. All right. Well, that was our hefty post-game analysis with Coach Brett Stinkfister. Once again, Goats. It's a tough game. It's an ugly game, but they were able to pull it out once again, 20-16 against the Golden Acre Tumbleweeds. Their upcoming match, in case you hadn't picked it up, is against the Shipshewana Flapjacks. It's going to be a tough game. Bob Newhart has 75 tackles through the first 4 games of this season. He's going to be looking. He's going to be biting his teeth, gritting his teeth. He's going to be feeling out the mouth. He's going to be wanting to take on that Goat offense. Has been sluggish off and on. So we'll see if they can turn on the Jets. Nate, you got anything for us?
All I want to say is that I hope the Goats bring a hearty victory. Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll see what have to happen. So, with that, folks, your update on the HUAC Fighting Angry Goats. Yes, once again, it was a sloppy 20-16 victory against the Golden Acre Tumbleweeds. And with that, we'll break for ads. Come back here with the second half of the Moon Tower Podcast. Your host, Ian Hubbard. This podcast is brought to you by New Milwaukee Beer. It's got the green label.
Does it have that sweet green feeling we all know and love? I think not.
No, but it'll keep your daddy from hitting you. New Milwaukee Beer.
Love you, Dad.
Anguish beef. This cow was raised in pain. Moo.
Moo.
Podcast is also brought to you by Sleep Sauna. Experience the exciting feel of Sleep sauna. Alrighty, folks. The second half of episode 5 of the Moon Tower podcast is here. Your host, Ian Hubbard. My technical advisor, Nate Fitch, is to my right, and he is apparently still alive. You right there, man? You're choking on his ass a little bit. Oh, wow. Well, I guess we're going to tune in next week where I'm quarantined. Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck's wrong with you? You didn't smoke actual tobacco, and I'm not even sounding that bad. That was wrong.
Oh, no, that was just the throat demons taking over.
Throat demons?
Yeah.
What are the throat demons?
The demons that get in your throat after questionable activities.
That leaves a lot to be seen.
And imagined.
You right there, buddy? I mean, I worry about you. I mean...
Oh, don't worry about me. Gonna live forever. Till I'm dead. You know.
What the... Well, I mean, whatever works, right?
Sometimes it do, sometimes it don't.
Well, sometimes it do.
Do.
Alright, now that we're all in quarantine, last week on episode 4 of Moon Tower Podcast, we were able to give you some insight into the meat industry as well as the seafood industry, especially from the preparation and selling of said product. In Nate's case, it was the cooking of a meal for folks dining out. As well as mine, it was the receiving and cutting in order for you to take home and prepare. Also, we looked into certain buzzwords to look into while making said choices as a consumer, which I hate to say, as a side note, consumer, it's one of those buzzwords that I find absolutely inescapable. It's right up there with like masterpiece or juxtaposition, but because just for the fact that it sounds like a horrible side job, which society has condoned as a necessity. Like what are you? I'm a consumer. Like, what do? I consume.
Consume.
What do you consume? Stuff.
Conform.
What kinds of stuff? All kinds of stuff. Like, what do? I do. Anyway, I digress. It's a very unfortunate happenstance that we are labeled as consumers, but we as a collective have been deemed as such. So in order to be proper consumers, we, in theory, have to make solid choices, and food is one of, if not the most important choice that we have to make on a daily basis. Now, in last week's episode, I listed a handful of companies who I thought fit the bill as far as solid companies to buy from if you're going to purchase meat or seafood. And to reiterate a point that was harped on in last week's episode, a friend commented asking what to look for when trying to purchase, say for instance, wild-caught seafood. To which I replied, any market of any merit will have their tags labeled, say, wild-caught or farm-raised. Sometimes the labels are too small to see on first glance, so take a moment and look them over before making the decision. If you are buying if you're buying frozen, for instance, check the back of the tag. It will say where the seafood was caught or raised or processed. Unfortunately, the processing part is the key point to look at. If you unfortunately have the opportunity to buy farm-raised fish and it comes from Southeast Asia, steer away from it as far as your own health sake or your dietary sake. Go for local caught, local processed, and by means, what that means is wild caught should be from coast to coast. So yeah, always look at your labels at your local grocery market, wherever you're getting your supply from. They should, if they have any merit, once again, will have their tags tagged. It'll either be wild caught, farm raised, and once again, ask questions. That's the best thing you can do as a consumer. Which, as much as I hate that, that's what we are. Yes, as a consumer, that's what it is. Ask questions. Ask where it's from. You might be seen as a pesky customer, but on your side of the counter, that's the best thing you can do. Especially if you want to find out that your seafood, for instance, is farm. Especially if you want to find out where it comes from, like the source, like stuff like that. If you're even the least bit interested, you got to find out where it comes from. I know we are all sort of lackadaisical in that regards, where you want to trust the source. You want to trust that the people who are dealing with what comes to your table have the best in mind. But unfortunately, and I guess in a way it comes with the to and fro of like something like a capitalist society where it's profit over people. I mean, not to sound Marxistic, but it comes with an attitude where the customer is not the best in line. The profit is, which is a very unfortunate thing because that falls in line with the commoditization, the turning the basic needs that we have, say food, for instance, in this case, into a commodity. Literally farm raising unhealthy, unethical seafood or livestock or chickens or pigs or whatever in literally the worst way possible, and expecting you, the consumer, the person, the John Doe or the Jane Doe on the other end of the counter, to just accept it. And the worst part is a lot of people like you, the Jane Doe or the John Doe, do accept it. They don't ask questions. They don't ask where their supplement comes from. They don't ask, like, what's going on my table? What's going on my plate? What am I cooking? What am I giving my children? And if those are the questions that you want to ask, then you have to ask them. And unfortunately, the onus is on you. Like, you have to understand where what you are putting in your system comes from, if you so choose to care. And the great thing is a lot of people do care. A lot of people have cared about it. A lot of people are caring about it. A lot of people are trying to understand, like, for instance, like what is the difference between wild caught or farm raised seafood, for instance. I've had many people in my job ask me that, and I don't spare any bones about it. Like, I tell them, like, from my end of the counter, I'm supposed to sell you whatever you want. I'm supposed to pump up the numbers. Production is what it's all about. You're kicking up boxes out at the plant, kind of shit. But at the same time, I can't help but not be honest. Like, I had one lady a couple months ago, Nate, I think I told you about this. She once told me she told me at the time that she said she was buying farm-raised fish, farm-raised shrimp as well.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, for the longest time, and she was an elderly lady. Like, this broad was probably at the least in her 70s. Like, she was old. Old. She was like, you know, for the longest time, I always thought that it was farm raised shrimp or seafood, that it was better than wild caught because it was raised on a farm. That was damn near her exact quote. I always thought that it was farm raised on a farm, that it was better than being wild caught. And then, you know, I had that opportunity. Like, I wanted to grit my teeth. I wanted to just be like, but you know what? At that moment, I decided it wasn't worth it. I decided it was not worth getting angry about, because at the very least, she asked the question.
Hey, you can always come back and educate.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, and on my part, like, knowing the difference, or at least knowing the big difference, I was like, ma'am, like, with all due respect, that's not the case that you want. Like, it's wild caught as far as seafood. Like, it's wild caught because it's the best for you. Like, if it's farm raised, it's not that good. And her eyes just like, they bulbed out, like, it's like ballooned out. Like, I'm like you're buying, and she was the thing that killed me was, like, she was buying tilapia, which, like I said in last week's episode, is the most horrendous, like, fish you could buy.
Worst kind of bottom feeder you could ever.
Not even a bottom feeder. It's just it's garbage. It's literally a GMO fish. It's a frankenfish. And she said she was buying this for years, and, you know, put this in her meals and whatnot. And I'm like, ma'am, that's, if I remember correctly, what I said was, it's farm raised because it's cheap. It's wild caught because it's expensive. And the biggest problem was that it really bears harbor to the whole disinformation. You know, I've dealt with our age, like, don't know the difference, for instance, between, like, farm raised fish and wild caught fish, for instance. Like, and to go off on a tangent, like, it's that whole disinformation that really bugs the shit out of me. Like, people don't know. They don't understand, say, for instance, the source of their food. And I'm not saying that I have the clear insight, nor do I claim to. But the fact that they're not even curious about where it comes from, or where it lands on the table, or how it lands on their table, is something that really bugs the hell out of me. Well, and for me, it creates a cycle of disinformation, where, you know, that supposed knowledge is passed on and passed on and passed on. And in essence, no one really knows what the hell we're talking about. Like, Nate, do you have anything that you want to say against this, or for this, or
well, I feel like, you know, beef or, like, whatever we get is not well advertised. So, like, you know, like the big brands like Tyson or whatever you have will do better than, say, like your local farmer's market, or, like, you know, anyone trying to, like, sell their local beef and whatever.
Well,
you know?
I mean, with Tyson, it's like something like Tyson, they have the most money in the competition. Like, you have Tyson, you have Cargill, you have IBP, you have Smithfield, you have these corporate farms that, and they literally are corporate factory farms.
Oh yeah.
Like, they have the animals on a fucking circular belt, like we talked about last episode. They have them on a circular belt, literally, like, just one in, out the other, one in,
Just manufactured as fuck.
And this commodity, like, that is the absolute worst thing that capitalism and human beings and whatnot have done, is commoditize the most basic needs: food, water, air, shelter, whatever the fuck it is. And in this case, it's like what goes on the plate, like, it's commoditized. It goes beyond, like, even before any of us came onto this planet, like, it was that way.
Oh yeah.
And that's literally just a system that we have accepted. Like, you go to the supermarket, you order a steak, for instance, you order a roast, you order a slab of fish, you whatever, and it's there. And you don't ask questions. That's the thing. Like, and that's the, but at the same time, that is the great thing, is that you're able now to ask questions, at the very fucking least, to ask where it comes from. At the very fucking least. And we didn't want to use curse words at this point, but, like, we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
At the very fucking least. Like, you can look at your fucking butcher and be like, where did it come from?
I think at the very least, like, you know, it should be within a consumer's, like, you know, repertoire. They're like, hey, where am I getting my food from? That should be, you know, basic human, like, you know, interaction with, like, your, like, butcher or, like, whoever you're getting your meat from. It's like, hey, I want, you know, the best possible
within my
budget.
But the dollar's gonna say, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not gonna tell you, like, hey, don't ask questions. Excuse me. It's gonna tell you, don't ask questions.
Yeah. Like,
you should be conditioned in a way to say. It was like we said last episode. Like, if you want the most fresh resource of your meat or your seafood, if you choose to go down that avenue, go to the source. Go fishing. Go hunt your own meat if you want to. Like, game meat. Like, honestly, like, if you want the freshest.
Go out to Colorado, get some elk, man.
Like, yeah, like,
shit.
Go hunting. Go to your local hunter and buy some fresh meat off of him, if you so choose to.
Venison is delicious.
It is. It's very delicious. Go to any place that has an organic farm. Go anywhere. Like, if you want to, you'll find it. It really is out there. But at the same time, that's the thing with the whole society of convenience, is it's there. It's already there. You'll find it if you want it. And if you want it, you'll have it.
Quick access is a quick sell.
Exactly.
And I don't blame any of you for it, but if you can take the time, go out, you know, source your own local meat, do so. It will bring health and, you know, welfare or whatever you want to your family. Why do you think Ted Nugent
stayed alive so long?
I don't know. Like, fucking...
It wasn't the Wang Dang Sweet Poontang.
I was going to say Thor's hammer, but, you know, I don't know. Wango Tango had something to do with that, too, I think.
A little bit. Alright, folks. For this segment, we're going to stop talking your ear off. Once again, if you want to partake, go to your local source. Ask questions. Be a rightful consumer. Take control over whatever you put in your system. That at least is the very least you can do for yourself. And with that, we'll be right back with the last and closing segment of the Moon Tower Podcast, Episode 5. So, were you looking to get some more sleep? Well, we have you covered.
cookies for Santa.
It's Thanksgiving. Alrighty, folks. Episode 5 of the Moon Tower Podcast. Would love to thank you for listening in. Next week's episode is to be seen. Tune in and see what happens. And from then on, from Nate Fitch and your host, Ian Hubbard, we would like to say, we love you. Be good. Be good to each other. One love, brother.
Just be excellent to each other.
Just be good, man.
Peace.
Is that the last of it?
Yep. Yeah, that was it.
No, I mean the rum.
Is it?
Alright.
Where's the rum gone?
In your gut, you son of a...
I'm a son of a bitch, actually, but thank you.
Oh shit. We're still on?
Seems like it.
Keep rolling. No, we got hookers coming out, man.
Yeah, the hookers can go on too.
Alright, turn off.
Who said the hookers couldn't have radio time?
This shit. The fuck are you doing?
I mean, this is business.
No, this is family.
Hookers is business, man.
This is a family. This is a family business.
Family of hookers.
Cut the fucking shit off. We're trying to be serious here. Cut.